When we talk about buying your first home, most people picture security, stability, and finally having something of their own. But now we are hearing that by 2026, first-time buyers will need an average of over $210,000 just to get started. So let me ask you this. Are we still talking about a realistic life goal? Or has home ownership quietly turned into a luxury only a few can afford? For many people, especially younger buyers, home ownership is no longer a realistic milestone in the way it once was. The numbers have simply moved too far ahead of wages. When prices rise year after year, but salaries barely move, the gap becomes impossible to close. What used to be a natural step in adult life now feels like winning the lottery. This is not because people are careless with money, but because the system has changed. Homes are treated more like financial assets than places to live, and that shift has pushed ordinary buyers to the margins. We are often told that if prices are too high in one area, people should just look elsewhere. Move north, move out, compromise a bit. But even traditionally cheaper regions are now seeing sharp price rises. So is there really anywhere left for first-time buyers to escape to? The short answer is that the options are shrinking fast. While the north of England and parts of Scotland are still cheaper than London, and the southeast, prices there are rising much faster than local incomes. That means affordability is getting worse, not better. Moving also comes with trade-offs, like fewer job opportunities, longer commutes, or leaving family support behind. For many people, relocating is not a simple fix. It just shifts the problem rather than solving it. Let us talk about deposits, because this is where many dreams quietly die. Lenders now want 15 to 20% upfront for decent mortgage rates. That can mean tens of thousands in cash before you even get the keys. So how is someone in their late 20s or early 30s paying high rent supposed to save that kind of money? For most people, saving a deposit has become the hardest part of buying a home. Rent eats up a huge chunk of monthly income, often 40% or more. Add in bills, transport, food, and basic living costs, and there is very little left at the end of the month. Saving aggressively sounds good in theory, but in practice, it can take a decade. That is why family help has become so common. The problem is that not everyone has that option, and that is where inequality really shows up. Interest rates have also climbed sharply in just a couple of years. Buyers who once qualified at 3% are now facing rates closer to 5 or 6%. So even if someone can scrape together a deposit, a monthly repayment's now pushing them out anyway. Yes, higher interest rates have changed the maths completely. A mortgage that once looked affordable can suddenly cost hundreds more each month. That extra cost can be the difference between approval and rejection. It also creates fear, because people worry about future rate rises. Even confident buyers are hesitating, unsure if they are taking on too much risk. This uncertainty alone is enough to keep many people out of the market. Beyond the numbers, there is a human side to this story. We are seeing people delay marriage, delay children, or stay living with parents far longer than planned. So what is this housing crisis really doing to everyday life for young adults? The impact goes far beyond housing. It affects relationships, mental health, and long-term confidence. Many people feel like they are doing everything right, working hard, getting educated, and still falling behind. That creates frustration and shame. Some feel stuck, unable to plan their future because housing is so uncertain. Over time, This stress builds and can shape life decisions in ways that previous generations never had to face. Governments often point to schemes like lifetime ISAs, shared ownership, or first home discounts as solutions. On paper, these sound helpful, but are they actually making a meaningful difference? For a small number of people, these schemes do help, but at a national level, they barely touch the problem. £1,000 a year from a savings bonus does not go far when deposits are measured in tens of thousands. Shared ownership can be complex and expensive over time. Many schemes also have strict rules that exclude middle earners who still cannot afford to buy. The reality is that these policies treat the symptoms, not the cause. If buying is out of reach, renting should at least offer stability. Yet rents are rising fast, and security remains weak. So, is renting becoming a long-term trap rather than a temporary phase? For many people, yes. Rising rents make it harder to save, while short-term contracts create constant uncertainty. Tenants can face rent hikes or eviction with little warning. At the same time, more homes are being bought by large investors rather than individuals. This shifts power further away from renters. When renting takes most of your income and offers little security, it stops being a stepping stone and becomes a dead end. So let us end with the big question. Looking at current trends, rising prices, weak supply, and limited political appetite for major reform, are we heading towards a future where home ownership is inherited rather than earned? If nothing changes, that is exactly the direction we are heading in. Property ownership is increasingly tied to family wealth rather than work or effort. That creates a divided society of owners and permanent renters. Fixing this will require bold decisions, building far more homes, rethinking land use, and treating housing as a basic need, not just an investment. The choices made in the next few years will shape the future of an entire generation. Right now, the warning signs are impossible to ignore.